Okay, it's time for a rock garden update. Yeah, I know it's been a while, and in not too many more days I'll do my first veggie garden vlog, although there's not too much to show there. But anyhow, I thought I'd back up. I've done quite a bit. This is what's taken up all my time here this spring, is the rock garden. I've had quite a few changes since the last report. I think it's been 3-4 weeks ago. I did pavers on the sides, and yeah, I know I should have filmed the pavers and all, putting them down, which was like a monumental job, but it's just so much, it takes up so much more time filming it while I'm doing it. So anyhow, here it is. And right through here I did a nice little walkway with the pavers, and I wasn't quite sure how to do this down the side. Like, this is a slope down through here, and so I sloped it down through here, and then when I got to the walkway I went level with it, and then another slope. See, if it looks a little odd in a way, like if I had sloped all of this, then the walkway would not have you want your walkway level, and then it wouldn't have matched up with the sloping pavers, so or the sloping edge border. So I just you know, slope, level, and then slope. Okay, on to the plants, and of course I have put mulch down. Now, this is like 20 bags of mulch, 2 cubic foot per bag. It just doesn't go as far as you'd think it would. This is the forsythia bush that I showed earlier. I'll cut in how it looked like 3 weeks ago. And here it is today. So yeah, this is the biggest success story out here, really. I think this is going to be like, let's see, like right now it's, I don't know, it's 2 foot tall right now. I think it's going to get head high by the end of the year. And here is a rose bush. I showed it earlier, and it's coming along pretty good. It's got some buds here on it, and this is just some other plants I bought. I'm not very good at remembering the names of plants. African marigold is what that is, and this is some kind of I know the begonia. I'm not too wild about the begonias. They were dirt cheap is the only reason they're here. But the clematis vines are doing really nicely. They have bloomed out. Now this bloom, this is the first one, so it has faded out some. This is what they look like when they first come. They're nice and purple, and then they kind of fade out, but they do get bigger. You know, they see that's quite a bit bigger here than the newer one. And here, of course, is and I've put a lot of new rocks around here. And remember, if you'll remember, on the clematis, you're supposed to plant them, or you're supposed to have a lot of loose soil for the roots. I didn't plant these as deep as I should have, because I planted these two before I read that it is supposed to be so deep, deeply loosened soil on the bottom. But they're also supposed to have rocks around the roots to keep the roots cool. And this is the tickle pink dianthus that I split, which in the main is doing really well. Out here it's a little farther away from my edging, because when I did this walkway, I did the border, and then I did the walkway going in here, and it didn't quite match up with what I had here, so I had to redo the reposition the edging. And then when I had to reposition the edging, I had to you know, it kind of went to the left, so I got a little bit of a gap here, and then I had to actually dig these up and move them to the left. And this is the one which I did not get hardly any roots with at all whenever I split the plant. So as you can see, it's still alive, but not really thriving. But you know what? I think it's actually gonna make it. But anyway, they're doing pretty good. And I did a lot of little walkways through here. I did like a little curved walkway with these pavers. These are 16-inch by 16-inch pavers is predominantly what I used, by the way. I got a few 12-inch by 12-inch. Now the 12-inch by 12-inch are a little bit thinner. I wish they was as thick as the other one, because when you match them up, you know, with each other, then you have to build the ground up underneath the 12-inch ones just a bit. And here is another clematis. This is one of the older ones that I transplanted. And here's what I wound up doing. I got these little twist tie things. Let's see here. These things right here. And these have worked out really well on these clematis that's on these posts here. You just put them like right where my wires cross, and on the ones up here I wound up putting, let's see, that's some of the ones that I've not used yet, some of these things here that I've not used yet, right there. Anyway, on the front ones I wound up putting a rope on them, as you can see there, and it's much more decorative looking than what this wire is here. At first I thought, well, maybe it can climb just this wire, and no, this would not climb the wire. As a matter of fact, it was just blowing back and forth on a really windy day out here, and really just wore the vine in two. So I actually, since my previous video, I actually cut this almost all the way back to the ground, and that's all new growth here, which that's like 2 foot taller. And here's another little item. These here, which have bloomed out, the vines look reasonably good, but they are a paler shade of green than the ones I have put here. And it's all the same plant, the General Sikorsky clematis. And I'm really pleased with how green these are looking. And like I say, it's really working out well. Just ever so often I come out here, and if one's long enough, I'll just take like this here and stick it through the next loop on up. And it just really has worked out just beyond my expectations of how this would wind up doing. Okay, moving on. This is some sort of gardenia, and I'm a little disappointed in it, to tell the truth of the matter. Of course, it's got a little bit of yellow, but I thought I didn't really know there was more than one kind of gardenia. I should have realized that, because there's more than one kind of everything anymore. But anyway, this is the bloom on the gardenia. It's kind of a little plain, simple, nothing type of bloom. And I used to have a gardenia one time when I lived in Columbia, South Carolina, and it had like a bloom almost like a rose. It was just really like, there was more, like 10 times more substance to it than that particular bloom there. But anyway, it is what it is. Right here, what I'm going to do right here, this is some little tiny maple trees. All these little, let's see, I don't even see one right now, but you know, the little whirligigs that come down. They just covered this garden up here not long ago, and a lot of them landed in this pot, and a lot of them are growing. I'm going to let this grow. I might thin it somewhat, but I'm going to let it grow for at least 1 year, maybe 2 years in this pot. If it does good, I'm just going to take the whole cluster of maple trees and set it out, you know, all in one place. And sometimes it's good, you know, like that, to have a cluster of trees, because you know, maple trees generally get real huge, and you don't always want them to get real huge according to where you plant them. So if you plant a cluster of them, then, you know, it makes nice shade, plus they don't get quite so tall. And plus, if one day they're just so close to your house and it falls on your house, well, you've got a cluster of trees that are, you know, not so big around falling on the house, and instead of a huge tree trunk which is going to rip right through your house. So that's what I'm going to do there. Here is this rose tree is really what it is. And it's had a few issues. It's had a lot of this leaf spot on it. Let me see if I can show the leaf spot. Yeah, there's the leaf spot. I bought some kind of product called Bayer, and apparently it's made by the same outfit that makes Bayer aspirin, because they've got the same logo. And you don't spray it on here, you just mix it in water and pour it around the root system like once every 6 weeks. So we'll see how that does. This is what is this? This is I know what it is. It's geranium. Yeah, geranium, that's what that is. And this is it verbena? That don't sound quite right. Yeah, verbena. It's a verbena, not just any verbena. It's a G15HB verbena. So I thought that would kind of set things off to have one hanging plant there in the center. And right here, kind of makes me wish that I hadn't split those tickle pink dianthus down there, although they're going to wind up doing just fine all except for one of them, because I did plant one in a pot here that I didn't split. And you can see how much nicer it is there. This is my, I keep wanting to call it a dahlia, but it's not a dahlia, it's a camellia. And I think I said wrong there. I misread my label the last time. I said, for some reason it said it blooms in the winter, which I knew that didn't sound reasonable. But what it is, it blooms in the spring, summer, and fall, and not the winter. Of course, they don't have any blooms on it right now, but it's got nice shiny leaves on it. I'm not sure how it will do, how good it will do blooming wise, because it's supposed to have just morning sun, and I thought at this spot here it might only have morning sun, but it's turned out that it's got sun at least 3/4 of the day up until 3 p.m. anyway. It's got sun, maybe 4 p.m. of a day. So any plant that blooms and gets more sun than what they recommend, the blooms are never quite as pretty, never last quite as long. But we'll see how it does right there. It did say that it didn't take well to transplant, and so it's going to have to pretty much stay there unless it does really, really bad. And this is this sedum that I transplanted from that one out there, which is the biggest it's ever been for this time of year. I mean, this thing is doggone huge, really huge. And I have moved quite a few rocks out here. My brother is having the state fill in a bunch of a ravine that he has, and ever so often there's some rocks in what they bring, so I just go out there and steal rocks from my brother is what I do. He just lets them get covered up anyway. Of course he knows I'm getting them. But yeah, this thing is going to be huge. And around front, that's pretty much it. Let me back up and you can sort of get an overview of things. But it looks really, really a whole lot better since I put the pavers were the big key on this. It really needed that awfully bad. And maybe someday I'll put some, you know, match up the colors. These going around, there's cement colored, and all the rest of them are kind of reddish colored. And I made a little walkway through here. It's really neat having, and see I put 6 of them right there together. It's really neat having walkways through your garden. The garden is not very good unless you can walk through the doggone thing. You can't really enjoy it unless you walk through it. So I'll just walk through all my little paths here. I got a little path right here. All kind of paths. Okay, path. There's another one right through there. And when some of this stuff gets bigger on my paths, some of them may disappear on me unless I keep the things pruned out pretty good. But we'll see how it goes. Now this looks pretty good here. Here's some petunias of all the annuals that I've got planted. These look really better than anything else, I think. And okay, here's one thing that's not been doing too well. This is a butterfly bush. As you can see, it's somewhat yellow, except the last couple of inches of growth have greened up really nicely. I don't know if you can tell that on this video or not, but what happened here, I got a yellow jacket on me. What happened here, I kind of assumed that it was just waterlogged, the soil was waterlogged. So I came out here just shortly after heavy rain, dug the thing up, and the soil was not waterlogged at all, but I had neglected when I planted this thing. I did not loosen up the roots. I just left it in just a hard, and it was root bound really, and I just left it like that. I did not, you know, mangle up the roots around the sides and on the bottom of the root ball like I should have, and it was basically just choking itself out. But after I've done that, that's when it has put on this extra 2 inches of greener growth than the rest of it. So I've always been a little skeptical about how much difference that does make when you do that, but yes, it does make a difference. So if you plant anything, especially just anything, always loosen up your root ball really, really good. It helps a lot. This little rose bush here was transplanted. I mean, believe it or not, this thing is like 20 years old, and it probably, I think I showed it last time, and you can see it's got some spots on the leaves. But so far it still is just sort of sitting here looking at me. So I don't know what the future of it is, whether it will wind up, you know, it may take it a year or two before it decides it wants to do anything. I don't know. Around front here, I planted a thing or two around here. Here in this kettle is some more geraniums right in the kettle. 3 geraniums there, and whenever they get a whole lot of blooms in them, they wind up looking really, really nice. And as you can see, they will make plenty of blooms. Okay, over here we have some new additions on the front porch. Well, right here is a clematis, and this is an ancient one that came back from just the roots, and it's got very small leaves on it. And I put a whole bunch of these things here for it to climb. So we'll see how it winds up doing. I'm a little skeptical on it, but we'll see. It looks fairly healthy. Right here is a type of columbine. I can't really remember the exact type. I'll cut in the little card that came with it. Winky double red and white columbine. It's already bloomed out and it's got these seed heads on it. I need to read and see if I need to pinch them out to encourage more leaf growth or not. And it's not really a showy type of plant when it's blooming. It has more of a subtle type of beauty to it, not unlike Renee Zellweger, I guess. So it's got its own charm, but not like a supermodel plant. These columbines here, which apparently only bloom in the springtime, the first time I watered them, I got all kind of little water splatters, dirty water splatters from the paver here on up to the plant. And it really does affect the leaves when you do that. And this would not wash, even the next day it wouldn't wash off. So if you have any of these, try not to get too many dirty water splatters on them, I guess. Oh, I almost forgot. Here is some dianthus that I think is some kind of dianthus. This is what I moved from the side of the house, and it's got some nice little blooms on it, and it's actually doing much better in here since nobody's stepping on it anymore. This bush here continues to just take over the world, and basically I'm going to let it, all except I keep trimming it down this side here so I can walk past it. But this thing is huge. I don't know if you see, whenever I showed this side of it before, I showed this one particular plant that I planted right here, and which I don't know what kind of little bush this is. It's a little low-growing bush, but as you can see, this thing is just about to overtake it, which I'm just going to let it overtake it. I may put that somewhere else next year, I don't know. But like I've said before, I'm wanting all the foliage out here around the pond I can get in order to cut down on algae in the pond. I'm really hoping I don't have to put an extra tent type of deal over the pond. And essentially I've left the back part of this garden untouched for now. Basically it's a hosta jungle back here at the moment. There's no walking paths or anything through here except for right over there. And like I say, just a hosta jungle. I may do something with this next year. Okay, so that's it. Bye everybody.